Hello and how's it going? Welcome to the channel, and I am here for a list video for you guys, and this is also going to kind of be in correlation with a discussion video as well. So for this video, this is going to be 6 of the stupidest reasons why some people don't like certain bands. Now this can go for any band in general. Could be rock, could be metal, you name it. But yeah, let's go ahead and begin with this list of just stupid reasons why some people don't want to get into a certain band. So, with that being said, let's begin with number 1. Now, number 1 is that they're in a genre they don't like. Now, this, I guess, isn't true for a lot of people, but it's definitely true for some. There's some people that, like the band's music, but they just can't seem to get into that subgenre that they're in. But you have to understand that, there's nothing wrong with liking, a band if they're in a subgenre that you're not into, or a genre you're not into. I know people that aren't into, subgenres like Melodeath, and they like bands like In Flames. I know people that don't like rap music, but they like the rapper NF, and the list goes on for some people, If I, for example, I'm not a fan of the rap genre whatsoever, but if I found a rapper that I liked and, I claim to not be a fan of that genre, I still would like the artist, It's something that, a lot of people should keep in mind. I even like a little bit of electronic music. I listen to things outside of rock and metal, even though it's very minimal. But the thing about it is you also extend your music library once you, try out, bands. And if you like a band and they're in a genre that you don't like, still get into them regardless. Because that way, not only would you have more in your music library, but you also have more in common with people. If someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, do you like thrash metal?" I mean, you could just say, "Not really, but I do like the band Metallica." One of those cases, I guess. But it's definitely a dumb reason to not get into a band just because they're in a genre or a subgenre that you're not into. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to number 2. Now, number 2 is that they formed in an era they're not into. Now, this can go for pretty much anyone. People that, won't get into, the classic style of metal, or the people that won't get into the modern style of metal. And I know some people might think that I'm being hypocritical, because some people might say, "Well, Zach, you said before that you're not getting into another modern band ever again." But you have to remember that I'm already into all the modern metal that I need. It's not like I'm completely dismissive of this era as it is. It's just the particular style, I guess. That's kind of where I'm coming from with that. But I'm already into a lot of modern bands, of course, so as you guys know. But there's some people that I know that are only into bands that are from a certain era of time. I know there are some people that will only stick with the classic era of metal and rock, and there are some people that will only stick with the modern style of metal and rock, and neither of those, I think, are a way to live, because I think both sides are definitely missing out on a lot. It's definitely something that I find ridiculous, of course, to not like a band based on, where they came from or what year they formed. It's definitely something I find really stupid. But yeah, so that's number 2. Definitely a dumb reason. Okay, so now we're here at number 3. Now, at number 3 is that something that a band member has said or done years ago. This can go for a lot of people. Definitely As I Lay Dying fans, or, ex-As I Lay Dying fans, or you could say. This is something that I do think is very stupid, based on, something that a band member has said or done, years ago. And I know some people might say, well, there's something called crossing the line, and there's some people that will say, well, I'm not supporting this band anymore, I will not forgive them or do anything of that nature. And I can't stand those people, honestly, because those people, they think that they're perfect, and I just have to ask those people, have you ever said or done things that you've regretted in the past before? Like, have you ever said things that you think back and say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, That's something you got to think about as well. And I think a lot of people seem to forget that band members and famous people are also people as well. So, yeah, this is definitely something that I find very dumb. Now, of course, it is up to the listener to decide whether or not they want to keep listening to the band, of course, based on, something that a member has said or done. But if it's something, if it's something that the band member has addressed and has moved away from, then I don't see why not, go back and listening to the band. That's my take on it, of course. But yeah, overall, I do think it is a stupid reason to not like a band or to hate a band. But yeah, now let's get into number 4. Now, number 4 is probably the most controversial one on the list, and that is a band that is either Christian or secular. This is one that I just get so irritated by, because I have came across people who will only check out, a band only if they're Christian, or a band, or I know people that won't check out Christian rock or Christian metal solely based on the fact of their beliefs, like nothing more than that. As something that's stupid, I know, and it can go for just the whole belief system in general, I guess. But yeah, it's a stupid reason to not like a band based on, the band members' beliefs. If you like the music, then shouldn't that be all that matters, And I know some people that I've recommended some bands to, and they won't check them out because, they're in the secular stage, I guess. And I know there's people that, I've recommended bands like Red to, because there's one individual I know, who was into bands like Linkin Park, 3 Days Grace, and Breaking Benjamin, and I recommended the band Red to them because, of course, Red, fits in that mix. They're similar to the style of those bands. But, of course, they completely dismiss them based on the fact that Red is a Christian rock band. So, yeah, it's something that I find very irritating. It's a stupid reason to not like any band. But, yeah, it's definitely something that I find very ridiculous. And if you don't agree with the lyrics, that's fine. You don't have to agree with the lyrics if that's how you really feel about them, I guess. You don't have to agree. And same can go for those who, I guess, won't get into secular metal because it's not Christian, because, they won't agree with the lyrics or whatever. But let me ask you this. How many times have you sat in a church where you agreed with every single thing that a preacher has said? If you say that you agree with everything, then you're probably a moron. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So, yeah, but it's definitely ridiculous on both sides. It's definitely something that two groups need to step out and be a little more open-minded to, I guess. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to number 5. Number 5 is that they haven't been a fan of the band for that long, or they just discovered the band. This is also part of that whole nostalgia factor. There's some people that won't check out a band because, they don't have any feelings towards them. Like, well, I haven't been into them in high school or, middle school or anything, so they're probably not worth my time, I haven't been a fan of them for a long time. I literally just heard about this band yesterday, and for that reason, I can't get into them. It's definitely something that I find very stupid, and one of the things that I've noticed, and even from personal experience, is that nostalgia is a pretty powerful thing when it comes to music. Like, you end up preferring, some bands that you've been into for a long time over the bands that you just discovered like last year per se. But you know deep down that the bands that you just discovered do have more talent, but it's one of those things that you don't want to admit because of that nostalgia factor. Like, it's definitely something that I've been guilty of as well. And I know there's people that are definitely guilty of this as well. So, yeah, it's definitely something that I find very dumb. Definitely check out bands that, you know, you haven't been a fan of for a long time. So, yeah. I just think it's really dumb overall. So, let's go ahead and move on to the sixth and final, I guess, dumb reason why some people hate bands or don't want to check out certain bands. And number 6 is that they're popular. This is definitely something that I definitely see with a lot of individuals for sure. I know some people that say, well, I'm never going to get into Metallica, I'm never going to get into Slipknot. And, you know, I know it's because, you know, they're popular, you know, they're not of the underground. They might say, oh, wow, you know, this band's music videos have over 5 million views. Wow, definitely not a band that's worth my time, you know. It's definitely something that I find very stupid. And there's some people that are afraid of getting into the more popular rock and metal bands because, well, of course they might be afraid of what people think. They might think that, like, oh, people might think that I'm of the mainstream. There might be some people that think, you know, I only listen to radio-friendly metal and, you know, all this and that I only listen to the popular bands. And, you know, it's just a whole ridiculous thing all around. And just because a band is popular, it doesn't mean that they're, you know, not a good band or an untalented band, you know. It's just the mindset of some people, you know. They don't want to get into them based on their image, or, you know, they're just afraid that they won't enjoy them, which is definitely not the way to live either. But there you go, guys. That is my, I guess, 6 stupidest reasons why some people don't want to get into, or some people just don't like certain bands. So let me know what you guys think. And is there any more dumb reasons why some people don't want to get into certain bands or hate certain bands? Please let me know. So with that being said, thanks for watching, have a nice day, and take care.